Face facts, what up, what up?
Real fans, realtalk.com. Where Arthur Diamonds, Trip Young, and intern Tom. For the white and black fans, Asia to Manhattan. I get all my facts from my bro, Mark the Stats Man. If you're not tuned in, I recommend the CAT scan. And if your brain checks out, then you deserve a backhand. Sports, gossip, all the hot topics. Real fans, realtalk.com got it. They got the hottest bloggers.
Is Jeremy Lin hurt?
Well, log onto the site and you can hear it from them first. I'm talking about the latest. I'm talking about the greatest. Go check out the archives. Even tell a neighbor. Tell them Bobby sent ya. From spring to winter. Tuning in should be the only thing on your agenda. Certified co-son. You know what I'm about, son. Real fans, realtalk.com. I'm out, what? Real fans, real talk. Real fans, real talk. Real fans, realtalk.com. Real fans, realtalk.com. Real fans, real talk. Real fans, real talk. Real fans, realtalk.com. Real fans, realtalk.com.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another live episode of Real Fans, Real Talk. I'm Mark the Statman Skevich. We got a great show lined up for you tonight, but before we get into the sports topics, let me introduce my co-host. We have the one and only Sean Fontaine joining us.
Hello, hello, hello. How's everybody doing? Has a great playoffs going on right now. You know, Heat doing their thing, Spurs doing their thing, or whatever. I'm just happy to be here. Happy to see you guys. You didn't have a show last week, so you know I'm happy.
All right, and the return of the lovely Rose Claire, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, hi. Yes, I am back once again. Lucky for everybody here. We're about to get to my least favorite part of the year. Basketball and hockey simultaneously end, and then we get to, as I mentioned before, the long green period of just baseball and golf, and my hair starts to get frizzy, so.
A lot of that has to do with the fact that you're a Mets fan, obviously, too. So I mean,
little bit
it's
has
just
to do with
baseball
that.
and, you
I'm
know,
not
the
gonna lie.
fact that your team is always losing.
I was
understand.
going to not go there this time, you know, because we've been talking. I know, no
Don't
worries. 'cause
worry,
you guys
I'll
got me
definitely
covered.
go there.
But every single time, you know, we talk about this ever since the winter, and I was ready to come back with good ammo. I was like, once the season starts, they'll see. But it's just been nothing but heartbreak. Ike Davis has been, you know, he's still in the lineup apparently. But we're going to talk about basketball now.
And speaking of heartbreaks, my New York Knicks, of course, eliminated. I'm still repping them, of course. I'm a Knicks fan till I die. I'm used to the heartbreak the same way you are with the Mets, Rose.
It's a little bit less of a heartbreak in your,
this year they finished second in the East. We had a Knicks player win the scoring title in Carmelo Anthony. We had a Knicks player win Sixth Man of the Year and J.R. Smith. And I know a lot of you New York fans, Knicks fans, and basketball fans in general have been talking a lot about the Knicks. We've talked about it on the radio show, which airs Sunday, 7:30 p.m., realfansrealtalk.com. But we're going to get into it for a little bit here before we move on to what else happened. I just have one question for you guys. A lot of the Knicks fans out there feel that the referees had a huge part in it. What's your take on the series and the referees?
Well, most definitely they had a major part of it. There was a lot of fouls that was called or whatever. But if you're an athlete or you just a person that plays sports, you know that you can't let referees control the course of the game. And a lot of times when people were getting fouled out, Tyson Chandler, Kenyon Martin, they brought him on to help out, and he's getting fouled out. So, I mean, at the end of the day, you kind of got to watch yourself. And Tyson Chandler is a great defensive player as well. So he has to know these things. He's a veteran. So.
You know, and I agree with that, too. At the end of the day, you do have to just take into account that there will be fouls, there will be bad calls. I was actually going to bring that up with hockey. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but that's a little bit of a different story because there I feel that it was definitely skewed. I mean, even in Pittsburgh, fans were chanting, ref, you suck or something. That was a little bit different. But I think with basketball, as far as the calls go, they were not great calls. But it kind of, I feel that there was a good balance.
The Knicks at the Garden fans were chanting that as well during the games of the Garden. These refs suck. These refs suck.
What is New York?
Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
I don't think that really helps our cause.
It's New York. It's a rough city. I mean, and it's like you got Spike Lee on the sideline trying to help them out. He's not doing them any good. All right. So I mean, they just have to play at the end of the day. But Rose, you were saying, I'm sorry.
Oh no. Tyson Chandler as well though. He was sick, wasn't he, for a while? And they said that he lost like 12 pounds. So I mean that doesn't have to do with the reffing, but at the same time that has to do with his play overall. And I think that was a big part of the Knicks' downfall.
I mean, you're supposed to play through the refs like you guys are saying, but the bad calls are key factors in the game, and it just it does ruin the tempo of the game. It's very discouraging on the players. It takes them out mentally, especially that late foul on J.R. Smith for Stevenson for the 3-point play. Like, there was no contact made. I don't know if the ref had a bad angle and just assumed that he hit Stevenson's arm when he tried to go for the ball and make the block, but whatever the case may be, it's over with. It was a good season for the Knicks. I expected them to make it a little bit further, but you're not getting off that easily, though, Sean. I almost forgot. We do this segment on the show called Shot for Shot, and if you lose Shot for Shot, you have to wear team apparel of a team that you hate. And Sean hates the elite Eli Manning, 2-time Super Bowl MVP. And we're just going to put that on for you, Sean, until the next edition.
Blasphemous.
You'll get a chance to redeem yourself later on the show, because we do like seeing Rose wear that Yankee jersey. So you'll get a chance to redeem.
And then I'll be gone for another few weeks.
That's exactly. You know what? I think you did lose last time. We should break out with the.
I definitely wore the shirt of whatever time I lost last. I think it was forever ago. Last time I was on, though, I refereed it. Remember,
Okay.
you lost
Yes.
it. You just didn't want to bring up
Yes.
the fact that you lost. But I did want to point out, I wanted to shout out your Where's Waldo shirt, because I really like that too. So, see, you don't get off that
There we
easy.
go.
Put it down again. Put it down again. But Where's Waldo? Thumbs up for that one. I
I
liked
have
it.
my notorious B.I.G. and the Knicks logo over here. We're once again repping my New York Knicks. So it's good to.
Oh yeah,
how does it feel
I'm wearing gray
that?
for the Nets, by the way. I wanted to mention the grays for the Nets, because I don't have a lot of sports jerseys. So,
Well,
go ahead.
Not to get off too much on a tangent, though, moving on to the next series, the Eastern Conference Finals with the Pacers. What chance, if any, do you think that the Pacers have against the Miami Heat? And what's your prediction? How far will the series go?
Well,
6 games, 7 games?
I'm gonna be Brandon Jennings with this one. I'm gonna say maybe 6 games, but I mean the Indiana Pacers are a great defensive team. You know, they have a few people that that were hurt or whatever. Lee, they say he's expected to come back or whatever. So I mean, I'm saying 6 games, but I know how it was last year, and I know how it is, for LeBron. He wants to win that second one, and I think he's gonna kick it into overdrive, and he's gonna help him go ahead and take it on to the finals. So.
What's your take, Rose?
Well, in the regular season, the Pacers were up 2-1 in the games, but then again, that was the regular season. From that point that the Heat lost that game to the Pacers, the last one, they went, I think, 45-3 from that for the rest of the season. So that being said, and also LeBron also mentioned that being in the playoffs is a completely different thing. Then you have time to be able to prepare for each direct opponent and everything. So I think it will definitely be harder. The Pacers also, though, have gotten better with their defense this year, because last year they were up from the Heat. They were winning 2-1 in the semifinals, and then the Heat ended up winning Game 4 and then never looked back from there and ended up beating. But that was when Danny Granger got his knee injury, and Danny Granger has played all of, 5 games this year. So from this point, I think that the Pacers have picked that up and prepared to be without him this year, whereas last year I felt it was more of a blow. So I think that the Pacers will be a better opponent. All of that soliloquy I just said isn't going to make them win or anything. Yeah. I think that will get them neck and neck with the Heat, maybe. Neck and neck, maybe like shoulder
It's
and
gonna
neck.
be, it's definitely gonna be
I think it'll be close.
Yeah.
I picked them. I picked the Heat to win in 6. Actually, I don't know. What do you guys think?
Unlike the Heat, the Pacers are undefeated at home throughout the playoffs. The Heat have lost at home. They lost Game 1 to the Bulls. I do think that the Heat are going to win, though. They're obviously the favorite. And as one of our guests from the Power Play show, Anthony Strano, he came on to the radio show, and his opinion was, the Pacers play physical ball, and you can't play physical ball with the Heat because the refs are going to give LeBron James every single call that there is. Carmelo Anthony would have to be carted off in order for them to actually call a foul on him, and they still might not even call it. They were abusing Melo. A lot of calls didn't go his way. Not going to happen with LeBron James. They're going to give him every single foul call imaginable. So I picked.
I don't think they do that. They're harder on LeBron James. What are you talking about?
You know what it is? LeBron is a bigger player for one. So of course people are gonna foul him extra hard. So I mean, him not those fouls not being real fouls. Come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
I'm not saying that there's some of them that aren't real fouls. I know people foul them hard because they don't want to get posterized and get dunked on like Jason Terry.
Of course.
But
I also wanted to mention that the Pacers had a lot of unforced turnovers and a lot of very badly missed free throws during that last game with the Knicks, or the last series with the Knicks. So I think that they cannot do that at all with the Heat. They're not gonna get off as easily as they do with the Knicks. So.
And Trip Young is MIA today because
yeah.
he's in MIA, going down there cheering on his Heat team in Miami. So he's not with us today.
Yeah, I can't believe we didn't mention that yet. We miss you, Trip. Hi.
Shout out to Trip Young, ladies and gentlemen. But going along to the Western Conference Finals, what's your take? The Spurs came out, they were dominant fashion in Game 1. What do you think is going to happen with the series?
Zebo can't have another bad game like he did, and you know they can't just focus so much on Tony Parker and forget about everybody else. Because if they continue to do that, those guys are going to be open from the outside, and they're going to continue to keep scoring, and that's going to be that for the Grizzlies. So I don't know what to say. Rose, what do you think?
Well, Sean, like, what's your official prediction?
Because you did ask me my prediction. I'm saying the Spurs. You know the old time Spurs. The paint dry Spurs. Of course, I'm going for the Spurs. I think they're going to win.
Yeah, I think that it's going to be the Spurs too. I actually picked the Spurs to be in 6. But at the same time, the thing is that they crushed the Grizzlies in their first game. But the Grizzlies also were down 0-1 in their game against the the Warriors, and then sorry, my brain. Yeah, the Warriors, and then they also were down 0-2 in the other game that they had. I'm drawing so many blanks right now. What was it? They were 0-2.
You're not even a blonde.
I know. Oh my gosh. I know. I should dye my hair. Maybe the frizz would calm down in the summertime. Have a complex about that. But yeah, they were 0-1 versus OKC last year. So anyway, the Grizzlies have a tendency to be able to come back from their 0-1, 0-2 this year in the playoffs, whereas the Spurs have the exact opposite, where they were up 2-0 in their lead with OKC Thunder this year. So I think that if the Spurs gain a lot of momentum and then they lose it after maybe the first 2 games, then the Grizzlies can definitely come back really quickly. But at the same time, I think that if they keep that momentum, so I think that the Spurs kind of have to quickly win it in 5.
Good news for the Spurs. Popovich has only lost 3 series in playoff history after winning Game 1, which puts him, I believe, in the top all time. But Phil Jackson is actually undefeated in that category. I'm picking the Spurs as well, but speaking of Phil Jackson, though, he came out with his book, and that leads us to one of our fan mail questions. Robert from Fayetteville, excuse me.
Alabama.
Right. Do you guys agree with Phil Jackson's comments about Jordan and Kobe from his new book, 11 Rings? We talked about this on the radio show, which airs Sunday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on RealFansRealTalk.com. And, I didn't mention Robert, but the fan mail question came in a little earlier. And if you listen to that, you already got my opinion and Trip Young's opinion. It's basically a comparison of Jordan and Kobe. He said Jordan was a more aggressive defensive player. He said that, offensively, he tends to not force shots. If his shot is off, he focuses more on passing and finding the open man and focusing on defense. And he's more of a leader and wants to win whatever it takes, and not all about him, as opposed to where Kobe will just keep chucking up those shots J.R. Smith style, and whether he's missing them or not. So I got to agree with him. I think there were a lot of times, though, where Jordan was taking up the shots even when his shot is off, though. So I don't completely agree with it, but for the most part, I do agree with what he said. What do you think, Rose?
I think that he's correct in the fact that Michael Jordan was definitely more of a leader, but Michael Jordan used the scare tactic because he could not lose at all. And I read reports on his teammates saying that if they were literally afraid of him, that if they weren't working out, if they weren't at their tip-top game. So not only did he make sure that he was on his game, but his entire team had to be on the tip of their toes all the time because of him. Whereas Kobe was a bit more reclusive. He came in as a teenager and really kept to himself. He never partook in any activities like with the teammates like in the beginning. And I think also Phil Jackson, though, said that he had something against Kobe with that sexual assault case against Kobe back in early 2000. Was it 2000 or 1999? Because something happened with his daughter and with a college player of some sort as well. So I think he also had something against him. But that being said, Kobe is definitely not as much of a leader at all in that sense. He's always kept to himself. He's always been kind of, shoot first, pass later. But we've talked about this in length this year because he's actually been getting better at the distributing. So there's
Occasionally.
Well, this year, of
Yeah.
course, yeah.
He's
I
been
mean, but
trying.
like you guys said, I mean, he came into the league fairly young. Jordan had a few years on him or whatever, but Kobe had the advantage of playing with people like, Shaq and a few other people that were veterans that also allowed, he allowed them to, be that vocal person for a lot of the younger players or whatnot. But I mean, not to take anything from Kobe. Kobe's a great player, whatever, but Jordan definitely, fear sometimes might be the best thing. They say him and Steve Kerr got into it a few times or whatever, but I'm pretty sure Steve Kerr's not mad now. He has those rings. What Charles Barkley, for other people don't have it. So hey.
Yeah. I do want to see what.
Patrick Ewing, of course.
Oh, yeah.
In that category as well.
Who could
hey.
forget?
His Space Jam co-hosts,
Hey.
co-stars don't have rings.
Well, I just was going to say before that, I think that Michael Jordan he reminds me a little bit of Lance Armstrong in that he comes off very gregarious, that friendly type, but I think that he just is so cold-heartedly wants to win. I don't know if cold-hearted is the right word, but he wants to win so badly that he will do anything to do that. And on the surface, he might be a little lamb, but he's a wolf inside for sure. And I think even I go to Stephen A. Smith, who never to this day will say one bad thing about MJ, and he's always, oh, Michael Jordan's the best. And I really think it's because one time Michael Jordan pulled him aside in his car and was like, don't you ever compare LeBron James. I think he's so afraid of him that he will never say a thing against him to this day. So I probably would be afraid too. I don't blame him. But
how can you really say anything as far as his game and as far as being the best? Like, I mean, I think it's way too early to compare LeBron James, but I don't see LeBron James being better as far as
he's so young right now.
Even when the career is done. Like Michael Jordan is the only player to score 40 points at age 40. Like, I mean, even when he played for the Wizards and he stunk, he didn't even stink. Like
he didn't stink. The team stunk.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's everything that he accomplished. Only him and Will Chamberlain average more than 30 points per game. It's 30.1, both of them. Throughout the entire career. There's occasional seasons where you'll see LeBron getting over 30 in a season, but there's no way he's averaging over 30 in his career. Defensively, they're both great, no question about it. But once again, it's still too early. You got to wait for LeBron James' career to be done. I don't see, even if he gets 7 rings and outscores him in total points, Jordan did it in a shorter period of time. If Jordan didn't retire, pretty much the entire 90s would have all went to the Chicago Bulls, and they would have beaten that 8-in-a-row streak with Boston.
Well, maybe LeBron will get 7 rings, and then he'll go play baseball, and then do better at baseball, and then we can all.
Well, he was All-State in football.
He does.
He was All-State in football.
Oh, good.
So,
maybe go play football now.
He can go help out
we'll
Gronkowski and some of those guys up in
oh my gosh, yeah.
New England. So hey,
they need it.
All right, well, moving on to hockey. I know my Knicks are eliminated. At least my Rangers are still in it. But sadly, they are just like against Washington. They're down 2-0. I'm still confident that they could win this series. They're going to do it in the most anxiety for me possible with the 7-game series. More games, yes. They will. I think they will win in 7. I think that the Garden, the home ice for the Rangers is huge. They're going to win games 3 and 4, and I think that it's going to be another 7-game series, and they're going to give me a lot more gray hairs as I watch the series. But what do you think of playoff hockey so far, Rose?
It's been great. I was actually pleasantly surprised that the Rangers are still in it, I should say. The thing about it is that against the Washington Capitals tend to lose in the playoffs. So I think that I'm not as surprised that they were able to get it to. I know, I'm sorry, but it's true. So I'm not as surprised that they get to a Game 7 for that. With the Bruins, they just won the Stanley Cup 2 years ago. They fare a lot better in the playoffs. So I think it's going to be a lot harder for them to even force it to a Game 7. And also in Game 6.
And they have a cool goaltender name.
Henrik Lundqvist.
No, I mean the
who
Bruins.
they've been. Okay, go ahead.
Zuccarello.
You say that one. Can't say that one.
Zuccarello.
Zuccarello.
say that 5 times fast.
So, yeah, but
Can't even say it one time fast.
Zuccarello. Okay. So Oh yeah, okay. I lost my train of thought. It's the heat. I'm telling you guys. Sorry, I can't. I think I'm going through menopause already or something.
All right, well, too much information.
I know. Sorry.
You're on timeout, Rosa.
Wait, no, I'm not done. No, the Bruins have been really crowding Lundqvist in the crease, which I think that has been really, I think that they need to control that a lot better for the Rangers to get back in the game. And also in Game 6 against the Capitals, as I was saying about the officiating, I think because of the lockout and everything, they're just trying to really make sure that they keep the viewers. So they wanted it to get to a Game 7, and I think that they wanted more games and the Rangers do so well in MSG. So many factors. The point being that there was not one penalty called on the Rangers in Game 6, which is kind of unheard of, especially for hockey. So, yeah, I don't want to say conspiracy because I am a Rangers fan, and I'm happy that they're still in it.
The refs could make bad calls as long as it's in the favor of the team
Totally.
that we like.
It's
All day
fine.
long, refs, all
But
day.
being
Too
on
bad
the-
the Knicks didn't get those calls.
Yeah, I know,
but,
right?
I mean,
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. You win some, you lose some. So we're just
There you
going to let it go. But
All right. Yankees switching over to baseball. Yankees back where they belong, first in the East, despite all
are you
the
sure
injuries.
we're done talking about hockey?
All
I
right,
need to talk about.
Go ahead. Let the folks know a little bit about what's going on in the other series, Rose.
Okay,
Since we know you don't like talking about the Yankees.
Well, the
since you're a
Detroit
Mets
Red
fan.
Wings have the series was tied 1-1, but then the Red Wings grabbed the 2-0 lead early in the second period with the Blackhawks. They're against Blackhawks. I wanted to give a shout out to the goalie Jimmy Howard because I went to school with him at the University of Maine. Shout out. He had 39 out of 40 saves, so he only let one goal in their 3-1 lead win of the last game. So. What else can we talk about that's not the
good old
Yankees? Let's
Yankees
see. The Kings and the Sharks are going to be back in the Shark Tank in San Jose tonight. They won Game 3, but they lost the first two games. But they won that one in overtime. And there's a lot of overtime games in hockey this year. I think also, due to the officiating.
Rangers fans are not the only ones getting gray hairs. The playoff hockey is very exciting. You get a lot of anxiety. There's nothing like playoff hockey because, a lot of time, it's really hard to be out of it. The Rangers dominated Game 7 against the Capitals, but, for the most part, most of the hockey games, all playoffs have been relatively close where your team is still in it.
But my question for you is because I'm not a huge hockey fanatic, but I've been trying to get more and more involved with it. Why is it most of these series go to distance? I'm trying to figure that out.
Well, if you notice, even throughout the course of the season, it's rare that you see a winning streak. Even the Knicks, the Nuggets, and the Heat all had significant winning streaks. We saw it with Pittsburgh and Detroit, but it's rare that you see winning streaks in hockey because it is puck goes bouncing.
Somebody did go 13 or 14. They had 13 or 14 wins this year.
Yeah.
So it does happen, but
it happens very rarely. A lot of times, 3 games in a row is more common as far as a winning streak is concerned because it is something that it could be a 1-0 or 2-1. It's just a lot harder to blow out a team in hockey than it is in other professional sports. It does happen, obviously. It's harder to have the winning streaks, like I mentioned, but nothing like playoff hockey. And go to a game live. Nothing like watching the Rangers at Madison Square Garden. There is absolutely nothing like it. Whether it's a regular season game, especially the playoffs, it's the crowd there more so than a Giants game, more so than a Knicks game. It's phenomenal.
And they play their best hockey in MSG, so
exactly.
Try to go there.
Yeah, don't go to the Devils or anything like that.
Right.
Even though tickets might be cheaper, because I did look it up.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. So we're not going to talk Yankees just yet.
Sorry, you can do it. I was trying to stave it off.
Oh, I have your permission to talk about. I have permission to talk about the Yankees and the show that airs in the Bronx, where they're mainly Yankee fans. I have your permission. Thank you.
Oh, we're in
Rose.
the Bronx. Oh.
Yes, we are live on BronxNet Television, ladies and gentlemen. We air live
Man.
every Tuesday, 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on BronxNet Television. We also archive our episodes on YouTube. And make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can see some of the special episodes that we create, like we aired last week, where we interviewed street bowler Haran Hargrave and also the long-awaited episode of myself and Trip Young invading Beantown. We had some MMA action going on in there. I interviewed Sean Graham, who was the former trainer of the legendary Butterbean Tough Man Contest, MMA and boxer. And our radio show airs every Sunday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, as you see on your screen. You can watch it on our website, realfansrealtalk.com. You could also like us on Facebook, facebook.com/realfansrealtalk, Twitter @realfantalk. Getting back to those beloved Yankees that Rose hates so much, though, back in first place despite all the injuries. Rose, what do you think of this? Like, they're getting all these injuries and they're still winning. What is your opinion on these Yankees this year?
It's a conspiracy of the umpires.
Is it a conspiracy every year?
That are, there's.
All right, I can tell you obviously don't want to talk about the Yankees, though. But Sean, realistically, though, despite the injuries, once playoff time happens, I mean, they're always in it, the Yankees. But do you see them winning the division when it's all said and done? And how far in the playoffs do you think they'll go?
Well, I mean, it's still fairly early in the season or whatever. But they're keying at the right time of the year. I mean, it's at the beginning, so they'll probably coast throughout the summer, and then when it takes time, I mean, when it comes time for the playoffs, I think they can go the distance. I'm a Yankees fan. I'm sorry, so I'm gonna say they're gonna win it all. You know, Rose, I understand you're a Mets fan, and of course, you know you have a little letdown every year. It's understood, you know.
I can't even say anything. This is torture.
But I mean, what can I say bad about the Yankees right now?
It's also Mariano Rivera's last season. I'm sure he wants to go out on top, just like Ray Lewis did with Baltimore. So you're gonna have that factor.
That's not even
Well, I mean, it is though. The teammates are gonna step up and want to win it for Mo. Like, I mean, Mo's had his rings already.
It's
but
still the beginning of the season. I wouldn't get too excited. I'm just saying. A lot can happen. It's a long season.
As long as we're in the
Very
hunt,
long
as long as we're in the hunt, when
you can
October
cut
comes,
the Yankees
you know.
tension/hate with a knife over here.
No, there's no tension. I'm just saying it's a long season. Don't put all your baseballs in one basket. That's all I'm saying.
All right. Well, speaking of Mariano Rivera, on the radio show on Sunday, we had a fan mail question that wrote in that there's a petition going around for fans that want to see Mariano Rivera start the All-Star game. What's your take on that? We'll start with you, Sean.
You know, these All-Star games and you know, the fans sometimes they really kind of lose sight. Look at Rose's face right now. They kind of lose sight of things. I mean, if he deserves to start, let him start. But if he doesn't deserve to start, don't let him start. That's how I see it.
Yeah.
What do you think, Rose?
I don't really care.
You don't care? I mean, and I have that same problem with the NBA as well, because a lot of these players don't deserve to be in these positions, but because of the players, they put them in these positions, and it is what it is.
Yeah, I said on the radio show, once again, which airs Sunday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on realfansrealtalk.com, I said that Mariano Rivera is known as the best closer in the game. Nothing to do with starting. So as much as Mariano Rivera is my favorite Yankee right now, not of all time, but as far as the active players on the Yankees roster. And, you know, he's a closer. That's what he does. He should close the All-Star game. That's, you know, who he is. He's not a starter. So I don't see why any of that happened. So.
It's the fans. They don't know any better sometimes. It's like a lot of times with sports, people, they're fans of teams, and they don't realize that it's sports at the end of the day. It's competitive, and he's a closer, like you said. Yeah. So why are you having him open the game?
Yeah. I mean, it's always like this. With all the All-Star games, we have, you know, teams from different divisions, in what was it, the Super Bowl, there were two players, the Colts players, right, that were passing to each other in the middle of a game when they were in different divisions, and they're always doing things. I mean, it's with All-Star games, they're very lax about it, which I think that the players like to be lax, and I think it's rightly so, because they don't want to get injured and they want to just have a fun time, and it's like a reward and more of a who's who type of thing, more of a reward for them getting there to show their status. But for the fans, they want it to be competitive, because if we're just watching people kind of like slapping each other on the back and underpassing balls and things, it's not really very fun. So.
Yeah, well, the Pro Bowl is the joke out of all the All-Star games, and we're not going to really get into that. But my favorite Yankee of all time, Don Mattingly, we have a question from Paul from the Bronx who wrote in. Do you guys think Don Mattingly will make it to the All-Star break as the Dodgers manager? Since this isn't a Yankees question, Rose, what's your take on Paul's question?
I don't think so. No. I think people have been saying he should have been fired yesterday. So I think I think he won't make it till the All-Star break. I think his team is so far beyond the last place in the West that it's just they're about to do it. I think it's about to happen. I think it'll be before the All-Star break. What do you think?
I agree with you, actually, and I'm glad a lot of Yankee fans wanted Don Mattingly to coach the Yankees, and when Girardi got the position, they were a little upset, and Girardi ended up getting us a title. Yep. So I just don't, with the talent that's on the Dodgers, they shouldn't be in the position that they're in. So heads have to roll. Unfortunately, I do love Don Mattingly, but I just don't see him having
get him out of there.
They were just swept. Yeah. Oh, sorry. They were just swept this weekend over Atlanta. So I feel like if it will happen soon, it will be, that will be kind of like the final straw.
Well, especially before the break of the season, because they, around that time, well, after the break of the season, that's when teams want to get the ball rolling before the playoffs and stuff like that. So if you're losing now, they're definitely not going to wait to the All-Star break. I'm sorry. It's a business at the end of the day, and teams want to win, and losing is not going to, have any revenue. So you're going to be up out of there.
Yeah, and. For those of you just joining us, you're watching Real Fans, Real Talk. This is our live TV show. We air live every Tuesday, 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on BronxNet Television. Also broadcasted on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel if you're watching us. We put out, we have the episode every week, but we put out specials as well. Our radio show airs live every Sunday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on RealFansRealTalk.com. And we're about to get into what we call Shot for Shot. And Sean is very happy to, not yet though, Sean, very happy to take off that Eli Manning jersey. He is not a Giants fan, ladies and gentlemen. If you lose Shot for Shot, you have to wear team apparel of a team that you hate. And Sean is a Dallas Cowgirls fan, and he's wearing the two-time Super Bowl MVP Eli Manning right now.
I think I'm going to buy a Jets hat just because. Just because. Just because.
Well, we got to support one of our former guests, KJ Stroud, who's a Jet, now former guest on Real Fans, Real Talk. Shout out to him.
I'd be fine with if you got a Jets jersey. I think you'd only be hurting yourself in that case.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, I'll just blame it on fashion.
See, you don't even want to take it off. You just
blame it on fashion.
The feel of a champion, I know. So.
Hey.
You could just put it over if you want.
I'll pull the guns out.
All right, the way Shot for Shot works, ladies and gentlemen, we ask a series of 5 questions. Whoever the judge agrees with. Oh, actually, you know what?
I was just going to say that, and then I was
I did say you get a chance to redeem yourself, so we usually allow you to ref. It is the heat, Rose, though. I do agree with you. The heat is turned on pretty high here in the studio
is
today.
To mush.
But the way Shot for Shot works is we ask a series of 5 questions. Once again, whoever the judge agrees with gets the point. If they both agree, no point is awarded. So starting with the first question, this goes to you, Sean. Who was most responsible for the Knicks' second-round playoff exit?
I blame the supporting cast. I mean, Melo tried his hardest to do, what it is that he does, whatever, but the Knicks have a problem, and it's called they live by the 3 and they die by the 3. And it's also followed up by they don't rebound. So they have a tendency of watching Carmelo, whoever put up shots, and they don't try to box out or get any rebounds. So, I mean, I'm blaming the supporting cast. I mean, Melo did his thing or whatever.
Someone's more specific than the supporting cast.
Who do I don't know. I mean, the supporting cast.
You could pick the coach. You could pick a player.
I'm going to pick JR because he was hanging out with Rihanna. How about that?
Okay.
I'm going for you.
All right. I would have to say the coach, Mike Woodson, just because he did a good job this season, but I think he put too much on Melo. Melo went 0 for 5 in the fourth quarter of the last game, and the whole team kind of crumbled at that point. I think that he hired on, as I like to call them, the Space Cowboys. Do you guys get that? You get it because they're like old? Okay, sorry, I thought that was funny. So he, every team, it's a well-known thing that you have to hire on a lot of veterans to, win titles because veterans need the, sorry, veterans, veterans can win. They know how to do it. They've done it before. But he literally had Melo and then, old and older and oldest next to him. Like everyone was 38 to 40 years old. I mean, I love Kenny Martin. He's one of my favorites. But Jason Kidd as well was playing amazing basketball, and then all of a sudden he didn't score like a field goal since I think the beginning of baseball season or something. It's like April 8th, I think it was. So I would just have to say the coach, because that's your responsibility to make sure that you're playing the right players. He was not playing Pablo Prigioni when Raymond Felton was 0 for 7 at that point. There were so many other things that just double teaming Hibbert as one of our members of the family at Real Fans Real Talk said on Facebook, double teaming Hibbert like he's Shaq. I mean, I would have to say Mike Woodson. There's just so many things, and like you said, like the supporting cast, but you can't just say the supporting cast. So you have to it has to go on the coach, I guess.
All right. It's a tough one because out of the players, I blame J.R. Smith the most. He went from J.R. Swish to J.R. Brick. And
so did J. Kidd.
I do agree. I'm going to put the blame on Mike Woodson on this one because he had no idea what to do against the Pacers. He kept changing things around. I had the opinion that I felt he needs to go big against the Pacers. He starts with that lineup, but then he didn't really stick with the strategy. I think he should have used Amari Stoudemire more. I think it should have been the 3 big men. And when they had Kurt Thomas and Marcus Camby and Wallace, they were actually winning because they were going big. But all those injuries is why they stopped going big in the first place.
Stoudemire he was limited to like 15 minutes or so?
There was not even one game where he got 15 minutes. The most was 11. He was playing 8 minutes, 5 minutes.
That's also why I think the blame does go on the coach because, these guys were great. In theory, he had this great team stacked around him, but you have to take that into consideration. This is why other NBA teams say, yes, we have a couple of veterans for the experience, but you can't build your whole team around 38 and 40-year-olds because it's a domino effect.
The Knicks are so old that their rookies are old. Prigioni, I believe, is 35, and Chris Copeland is 28.
And he's going back to Europe,
Cope didn't really get the playing time, and like you said, they should have used Prigioni a lot more. Jason Kidd just wasn't on, and neither was Felton. So
he wasn't on. He was like, there's not even a word for what he was. He wasn't on the.
And throughout the whole season, it's like he didn't have confidence in his shot. There were a lot of times where he had a wide open 3-pointer that he should take, and he hesitates. He really just completely lost his confidence. And
one of his last shots, it was like he was shooting it, but it looked like he was trying to bounce the ball off the backboard so he could come dribble up and do like a dunk or something. I was waiting for something amazing to happen, but then it turned out it was his shot. So.
All right. Well, moving on to the next question. You do get that point, Rose. Do the Grizzlies still advance to the Western Conference Finals if Westbrook didn't get hurt?
Oh,
that is
I
you,
think
Rose.
That would be me this time. I would say no, they would not. I think it would be close, and I think that because of this, the Grizzlies will have a bit of a chip on their shoulder because everyone's saying no, they wouldn't have advanced. So maybe that might spur them on to win against the Spurs now, but I don't even know for sure. I'm just thinking outside the box a little bit with that. But I think that for sure the OKC Thunder would have definitely, with Westbrook, they were such a better team, and it was already a struggle. They were a one-star team with just Kevin Durant, and he was just looking completely wiped out, trying to handle everything on his own. I think that they would have been a completely different team, and I'm not saying it would have been easy. The Grizzlies' defense would have still been really grisly, but at the same time, I think they would have won.
All right.
Sorry.
Sean?
Long-winded there.
I'm definitely going to say that the OKC definitely would have won. It's something about Westbrook when he's playing during the game. He allows, Kevin Durant to be out there doing his thing. He allows, Serge or whatever, everybody else to do their own thing. A lot of the players on the Thunder just kind of was standing around, and it was Kevin Durant just trying to score 40 points and trying to win the game by himself. When it's good when you have somebody else that can score 40 points. Take the pressure off or whatever.
Right.
But I'm definitely going to say that OKC would have won that series. Had Westbrook been there, he's a different type of player for that team.
I picked OKC possibly coming out of the West. I thought.
Me too.
After Westbrook was injured, I made the prediction that whoever won the Grizzlies-Clippers series was going to take the West. not really. I mean, the Spurs had a dominant Game 1 victory, so we'll see what happens with that one. Trip Young did predict that the Spurs would take the West before any of the injuries or anything. In his blog, which is on the RealFansRealTalk.com website, he breaks down the Eastern and Western Conference, if you guys want to check that out, as well as some of the other blogs. My Generation is Better Than Yours. That kind of goes along the topic that we were talking about earlier with the Jordan-Kobe comparison. So make sure you check out our website after the program, realfansrealtalk.com. Next question. Despite the recent arrest, was running back Mike Goodson a good pickup for the Jets?
Most definitely. The Jets need a confidence booster on that offensive side. You see, they picked up Geno. He just got arrested, of course, so that's going to be a strike against him before he even got into the league, of course. But, I mean, them picking him up, it's a good thing if he stays out of trouble, of course.
If he stays out of trouble, he's already in trouble. I think no, it's not a good thing because I think that they have zero tolerance for that type of thing. So he probably will be out before he gets in. I would say that the fact that they had a running back is a good pick for the Jets in the fact that it's not another quarterback because all they do is pick up quarterbacks. So in that sense, I was like, yes, it's awesome. And they really need help in the backfield. They got Chris Ivory. And with him, he's the only other, good backfield prospect that isn't going to be a role player. So I think that he would have been great. But, I mean, the fact that he had a loaded handgun, drug paraphernalia, suspicion of marijuana, bullets, possibly, I don't even know what this means, but possibly intoxicated on Route 80. I just want to say, in Route 80 in Denville is very close to where I'm from and where my family lives. So I don't want to be on the roads when that's going on anyway. But, I mean, when you think about the players like Plexico Burress, who shot himself in the knee, we don't need any players going around with an illegal handgun. I mean, he's going to be a problem to himself before he even gets on the field. So I would say no, it's not a good pickup. I don't want those thugs. I mean, okay, all right, I know where you're going to say. Everybody's got charges. Everybody's thugs. Everybody's got their own.
No,
issues.
you don't know.
Okay.
Typical female.
Okay. But I'm just saying that tends to be, what people say in this case. But with all of these charges, there are just too many. He's probably out before he even gets in. I think it's not a good idea.
I agree with you, Rose.
Yay.
So
Okay.
you don't know what I'm going to
Because
say.
of the circus of the Jets, I was giving him the benefit of the doubt because the
Yeah, you're
Jets
right.
they like to give anybody a chance, and they like that media. I don't know what it is
exposure,
about
which
them,
is why they picked up
but they
Tebow in the first place.
There you go. But hey,
But
Don't get me
at
started
the
on
same
Tebow.
time,
I will go off.
yeah,
Love him. Sorry,
all right. Well, you do get that point. I do agree with you. I think this is not his first strike. He struck out a long time ago, and he's not that good to be a player that you put up with stuff like that. He's not a superstar caliber running back. So I just don't. I don't think it was a good move for them. Over or under 40% chance the Rangers come back to win their second round playoff series. I'm going to look in the wrong direction again since I've been doing that before.
I was waiting for it. Okay, but now you got the camera guy all confused. Over here, thank you. Okay, now I'm confused, that camera. Okay, so this is really tough for me actually because I'm a Rangers fan. And I learned from my dad a long time ago that when it's your team, you don't ever bet against them because then it's just bad karma. It's bad for everything. That being said, if it were any other team, I would have to say under 40% just because they're playing the Bruins. As I said, they just won the Stanley Cup a couple years ago. They're no stranger to the playoffs, and they just have a better chance. The Rangers are down 2-0. The Rangers are great at MSG, but then again, they still would have to go to the Bruins at least one more time, which is going to make it tough. I am going to say just slightly over 40% because I can't do it. I'm going to say over 40%, maybe like 40.5%, but over. I know. We've been over this so many times. Don't start. But over 40%. I'm going to go.
Once again,
I know. I think I know what you're going to say, but you make fun of me for my mathematics with this. But I do believe that I'm not going to go against the Rangers. But if the Rangers were to lose, which they won't, but if they were to lose, and you guys say I told you so, you can't say I told you so because I could see what could happen, but I can't say it. So I'm going to go over 40.
I'm going over. You know, I'm not going to go against the home team, and it is hockey. You know, a lot of these series.
She's like, yes, I don't lose. That means I win. I'm up 2-0.
Hey, they go 7 games. I'm not going against the home team, and I would love to have, you know, some type of partying or something like that going on in New York just because the Rangers win Stanley Cup. So hey, I'm going for the Rangers.
Okay, I was trying to cover my
over.
butt in that case, but now that you said over, I'm totally going over too. Yeah, totally over. 100%.
No, but I agree with you on the over 40, but if the question was over 50, I wouldn't say yes because you know, mathematically they're definitely they're underdog when the series started, and you know they're a bigger underdog now. So I do think, you know, because they did it against Washington, they won every game at home, and then they ended up winning finally the road game in Game 7 against Washington. It's a much tougher team, obviously, in the Bruins, but I'm going to say 40, 41%, 42% maybe chance for the Rangers on that one. Last question, maybe we could get Sean a point here. We do like seeing Rose in the Yankees jersey, but that's not going to happen next time.
Is this because
so maybe
I
you
said
don't have to disappear for a couple of months.
Is this why you're doing it, so I don't disappear? It has nothing to do with that. Although I am such a fan of not wearing the Yankees jersey, but it totally has to do with my
excuse me,
my interviewing Tim Tebow on other channels and everything. That's why I'm gone. So no, just kidding. Love you, Tim Tebow. Go ahead.
All right, so last question. Dwight Freeney just signed a 2-year deal with the Chargers. Is he still an elite defensive end?
12 years in the league, and I don't think they really have any big plans for him to being more than a third down guy or whatever. But is he still an elite defensive end? I'm gonna say yes. You know, it's proven he's played practically every season for the most part or whatever. He hasn't really had any injuries. He's played for a real dope coach squad, you know, and they did some great things or whatever. And, you know, for him going to the Chargers, I think it's definitely going to be a great thing for a lot of young players. But I'm going to say yes, he's still an elite defensive end.
I would say no. I think that he's a great player. He's had an amazing career. He was an elite player. He's in his 11th. He's an 11-year veteran now. He's only had this past year. I know they changed the defense on him as well. So what was it? He was a 4-3. Yeah, he was a 4-3. They had to move him to outside linebacker due to their 3-4 defense now. But that being said, he only had 10 tackles this past year, 5 sacks. James Harrison is also an 11-year veteran, and he had 49 tackles this past year.
Yeah, well, he plays a different
sacks.
position.
Well, still, though, I'm just saying that, 10 tackles in a whole, he played 14 games. And
defensive linemen, linebackers get more tackles than linemen, though.
10 tackles, though?
Yeah,
well,
no,
a lot of times
I do agree with you, though. He's not elite anymore. He was elite.
Look at that. Sorry.
Yo, she spanked me. That is
Man,
it.
you guys really do miss me. Man, I'm normally terrible at shot.
Yeah, you usually are, actually. I don't know what it is.
Conspiracy.
Maybe it is a conspiracy. Maybe it's the heat and I'm not thinking straight.
I'll take it.
Back.
Oh, thanks, guys. I can't wait for next week. No.
All right. Well, we do. That concludes this edition of Shot for Shot. Sean Fontaine once again will be wearing Eli Manning or maybe something else.
Now, I guess.
I have a pink Giants jersey. Would you feel better wearing that since you lost to me?
No, it's probably very small and I can't wear it.
It's not
so I don't
that
know.
small.
Well,
I
the
used to be
Miami
200
Heat
pounds,
shirt that I have to
Okay.
put on sometimes is pretty small too, so
somewhere
don't
with-
make excuses.
You're right.
You
I'm
can wear it as
wear it
a
as
bib
a bib, yeah.
like I do.
Yeah,
But
so true.
we also do a segment on the program called This Day in Sports History, where we
that's
just
right.
basically self-explanatory. We talk about things that happened this day in sports history. Can you start it out with the first one, Rose?
This day in sports history, in 1948, New York Yankee Joe DiMaggio.
Oh, come
I've
on.
never heard of this guy. I don't know. He hit for a cycle or I don't know. Something happened. Somebody, go ahead.
right.
What happened to
You're-
Ken Griffey Jr.?
What are you you're really trying to be a blonde today, aren't you?
I don't want to talk about that.
I'm going to repeat that one since she didn't say enthusiastic enough. I shouldn't have put a Yankee hater to do that, but I just wanted to
I know, I
enjoy that
wonder why
moment.
you did that.
In 1948, New York Yankee Jolton Joe DiMaggio bats for the
Oh, is that who
cycle.
that is?
And in 1996, Ken Griffey Jr. became the youngest player to hit 200 home runs. Sean, can you take that last one?
And it had to be Red Sox. But this very day in 1997, Roger Clemens of the Boston Red Sox at the time gets his 200th win.
Of
You
course,
were
he
more
eventually
classy than me.
became a Yankee, though. So,
Yeah.
That's true. Traitor.
all right. And the NBA All-Defensive Team was announced. Marc Gasol made it to the second All-Defensive Team, not the first. The first was a tie between Joakim Noah and Tyson Chandler. And we talked about this on the radio show. Once again, airs Sunday, 7:30 p.m., realfansrealtalk.com. Trip Young feels that
Yeah.
Gasol should not have won Defensive Player of the Year, especially since he didn't make the Defensive All-First Team. What's your take on it, Sean?
It is some type of conspiracy behind that, because it's like, how do you win, Defensive Player of the Year and you're on the second team or whatever? But I mean, I don't know. I mean, Joakim Noah, he missed a few games because of some injuries as well, but I don't know. It's kind of weird. Who puts in these votes for this?
Well, the writers, that's the reason, is the writers
yeah,
vote for the
like-
one and the coaches vote for the other.
that's
So
another
that's
thing.
why there's a difference in it. But if you check out our Facebook page, Trip Young, as you said, Statman, had a comment every 5 seconds about it. Why is Marc Gasol second team? And he thought it was a conspiracy because they didn't want LeBron James to win both Defensive Player of the Year as well as MVP of the Year in the same thing. So, or in the same year, I should say. So that's why he thinks. But as you said, it wasn't really even down to him as far as the two were Tyson Chandler and Joakim Noah. So it's two different categories, the coaches versus the writers that vote for it. So I do understand it. But I think that there's an error for sure that he was on the second team and he got Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year.
Our fan page is facebook.com/realfansrealtalk. What Rose was talking about is the group page. You could search Real Fans Real Talk on Facebook and look at the group, and you could see a lot of those group discussions out there. But I mentioned on the radio show that a big difference between it, aside from the fact that you have different people voting for it, when it comes to the best defensive center. People have different opinions on that. When it comes to the best defensive small forward, it's pretty much unanimous that it's LeBron James. No one, would think to put anyone in the category as him defensively in that position. So when you're talking about the center, you have Tyson Chandler over there. And the same thing happened last year with Tyson Chandler. He got Defensive Player of the Year, but he didn't make defensive all-first team because the center defensively, there's a lot of good defensive centers out there, so it's a little bit less unanimous to make and makes it harder to make that defensive all-first team. So, the Charlotte Bobcats are going back to the name Hornets. Which is a good thing. It's at least they didn't do the flamingo.
Well, are they really going back to it? Because I heard this is Michael Jordan saying this.
Yeah.
So it's not finalized yet.
There
though, of
was
course.
talk about it. They said that it won't happen until 2014. Apparently, it's incredibly expensive to change the name, and it takes a long, arduous process. So they said it might happen in 2014. Personally, I think that Michael Jordan is longing for the good old days when he was spanking all those teams and the
Larry
Charlotte
Johnson
Hornets.
and all them.
Yeah, so
Muggsy Bogues.
I think that he just maybe he thinks that maybe with that name again they'll start doing a little bit better.
I think with that name it's gonna kind of be good for the fans because a lot of the fans remember those days with the Hornets and the old jersey and the Bobcats. When you think of the Bobcats, you're kind of thinking worse than the league.
Scrubs.
Yeah.
So that's gonna
true.
kind of probably be a good business decision to put more seats in more fans in the seats. So I do agree with the move.
So how about this? How about they make the New Orleans Bobcats?
Yeah, right.
This is
I will never
That's what is
understand
the Pelicans?
horrible.
I know. I totally agree with that. I say good riddance.
There's
too.
nothing tough about that name. We're playing the Pelicans. That
I mean,
sounds
when
like
you think
It's
about
one.
it,
It's
they
one
swallow-
step. One step more tougher than the Peacocks. At least they didn't
it's
pick
not-
that.
Well,
the
the
colorful
Pelicans at
birds.
least they swallow their fish whole. They put them in their mouth and they gulp them down, so they could say like, "We're gonna swallow you whole." Like
that
I
sounds
don't
like
know.
what's the movie with what's his name? Will Ferrell.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's not- yeah.
What was that name?
I can't think of the name right now, but it sounds like
the
it's from that
basketball
movie.
one?
Yeah, it
Yeah.
sounds like it's something from that movie. Like, no.
Yeah.
Love me tender, no. No.
Yeah, I'm
Pelicans
happy.
is horrible.
I'm happy that at least the Hornets aren't going to be the Peacocks, like you said, because I do love their colors, the blue and the purple. So.
All right. Well, I think it's a good move as far as the Hornets are concerned. You know, it would be nice to see the old school name and the old school jerseys, throwbacks and all that for the fans. I think it's gonna be a good move, even though, like you said, Rose, it's expensive to do so. But I want to remind you guys, our radio show airs every Sunday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on RealFansRealTalk.com through the Blog Talk Radio Network. You can subscribe to us on there. You can check us out on the iTunes store for our podcasts, as well as Podomatic. Subscribe to us in any way, shape, or form to hear those. We have some special guests occasionally. Like I mentioned, Anthony Strano came in from the Power Play show, and we actually had a fan from Indiana call in, and it was interesting to get the perspective. And you fans out there, if you want to hit us up on Sundays, you could call in as well. All the information is on the RealFansRealTalk.com website. But we are live here on BronxNet Television. We are live every Tuesday, 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We also archive our episodes on YouTube, so you could subscribe to us on YouTube and get some of those special episodes as well. And getting into one of the topics we also discussed on the radio show, Gronkowski, another surgery. Should the Patriots be worried at this point?
Well, 24 years old, he had forearm, had problems with his forearm, and he got a problem with his back. So I don't know if that's, they have something to worry about. He's a tight end. He's playing in a position where they're doing a lot of hitting and stuff like that. So I mean, this is definitely something to think about. Then what is it? Jack Biller, they were saying as well, he had did knee surgery or whatever, and the tight end position is very big for the Patriots. So I don't know. They have something to think about going forward to the season.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, they kind of built their team around like preparing for him because he's such a huge factor. But without him, they definitely do have something to worry about. I hope that it'll get better, but he keeps getting another surgery, and it's. Yeah, I don't.
But they have Danny Amendola now.
Oh,
This is what
Everyone knows Danny in New
goodness
Orleans.
gracious.
In
But
New
can
England.
he replace the other guy though?
No, I mean, they
That's
definitely should be worried. I
Yeah.
mean, he's definitely no Wes Welker, and then you're going to lose Gronk. I mean, they have Aaron Hernandez, which is still a great tight end, but they do go with that two tight end set.
I think they got rid of Wes Welker with planning on using Gronk a lot, and now with this happening, so yeah, it doesn't seem like it's going to fare well.
Definitely not a good move, but not good news for the New England Patriots. But as a Giants fan, I really basically, I hope they don't even make the playoffs, to be honest with you. But with that being said,
kind of harsh.
no, actually, I hope they make it to the Super Bowl again and the Giants beat them. So
Yeah.
third time's the charm for Eli Manning.
Military,
One thing me and Rose can agree on is
I know.
we're both Giants fans. But
Exactly.
with that being said, we're getting towards the end of our program. We're going to go into the final thought segment of the show. And we will start with you, Sean.
Miami Heat all the way.
Yeah.
That's
That's
all
it.
you got to
That
say.
is it. Miami Heat all the way. Rangers are going to come back. Okay, they're going to do some great things because I'm ready to party.
He's ready to party.
Parade
That
in
is
New
it.
York.
Shake and bake. All right.
Shake and bake. We're
If
all
you
on the
ain't
Will
first, you're
Ferrell
last.
movies.
That is it.
You ain't first, you're last. Yeah, we're the Will Ferrell movies. We still can't think of that title though. I guess my final thought is, like you said, Miami Heat. I have them in 7 against the Spurs. I think it's going to be a nice long series. The Spurs have like one of the longest winning streaks in the NBA overall. I mean, they've been on the map for a long time with the finals. I think they're not going to go away with the Grizzlies. I think for sure it's going to be them in 7, and that's my final thought.
Well, we are in the age of Google, and I got to find out exactly what that Will Ferrell movie was. But we're out of time, so I guess we gotta figure that out a little later on.
Are we supposed to turn our phones off for this show?
I just put it on silent. But with my final thought, Rangers are coming back. I want the parade in New York once again.
Semi-pro.
For semi-pro. There you go. Thank you, Sean. crowd. And for Rose Claire and Sean Fontaine, I'm Mark the Statman Skevich. Thank you for joining us and have a good night.
I'm talking about the greatest. Go check out the archives. Even tell a neighbor. Tell him Bobby sent ya. From spring to winter, tuning in should be the only thing on your agenda. Certified cosign, you know what I'm about, son. Real fans, realtalk.com. I'm out one. Real fans, real talk. Real fans, real talk. Real fans, realtalk.com. Real fans, realtalk.com. Real fans, real talk. Real fans, real talk. Real fans, realtalk.com. Real fans, realtalk.com.